The Supreme Court's decisions this week tell a very clear story about the right-wing majority's priorities. Beyond just ripping away 50 years of protected rights for half of America's population, in fact, they have gone scorched earth, imposing their Christian theocratic agenda on all of us. The court ruled that public money can go to religious schools in an erosion of the separation of church and state, and an assault on public education. The court went after your civil rights, chipping away at your Miranda protections. You still have the right to remain silent, but you can't sue a police officer who doesn't inform you of that. But the most egregious hypocrisy, just 24 hours before they ruled that your right to obtain an abortion should be left to the states, the court ruled that you do have a right to obtain a concealed carry permit in any state, even those with stricter rules than the federal government, striking down a New York law limiting concealed carry because gun regulations apparently cannot be left to the states. You see how that works? Women's bodies, yes. Guns, no. Let's bring in Elie Mystal, justice correspondent for The Nation. You talk, because you read through this decision. I only had to read like the first line. I was like, yeah, okay, it's the same thing as the other leak. I mean, we knew this was happening, but can you talk about the bigger construct of what they're doing in general to fuse Christianist church and state? Because it ain't all religions.
Yeah, so look, at a basic level, if you want rights in this country under this conservative Supreme Court, you better be a cis hetero white man or an Uzi, because those are the two things that this court believes have rights. Let's start at the beginning, right?
Or a corporation.
Or you can incorporate yourself as
yes.
an Uzi and perhaps then get some rights,
yeah.
right? But let's start at the beginning. Let's start at conception, and let's remember that the idea that a life begins at conception is a Christian fundamentalist idea. We live in a pluralistic society with people of many religions. Many religious beliefs do not hold that life begins at conception. Many people who don't have faith don't hold that life begins at conception. And many secularists say, I don't care what Jesus thinks, what your version of Jesus thinks life begins. We live in a secular society that should be prosecuted along secular laws, right? So you really have to go back to where the legal heart of Alito's opinion is, and it's in this original interpretation of the 14th Amendment and the Founding Fathers that says, if the original white male slavers and colonists who wrote the Constitution didn't think you should have a right, then guess what? You don't get that right. But they never interrogate why those original slavers and colonists said that you didn't officially say that you have a right to your own bodily autonomy. And when you interrogate that question, the answer is pretty obvious. Those people didn't think that women had a right to finish their sentences in public.
Right.
All right. They didn't think that marital rape was a thing that could happen. They thought their daughters could be sold for cash and prizes to the highest bidder. And that's how the people who wrote the Constitution treated the women they liked. That was for white women. For black women, we know they could be raped with impunity. And in fact, as you pointed out at the beginning of your show, they were the women who could not get abortions at
Correct.
the founding because the state, the white men who wrote the Constitution viewed the black women as incubators for the next generation of profit centers. And it is that logic that Sam Alito resurrects from the 18th century and brings it into the 21st century, in his opinion, and all the conservatives went along. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say that, I doubt, right? There is a case that a rabbi is bringing in Florida who says, hold on a second, in Judaism, life doesn't begin at conception, and we believe abortion should be legal. Don't you agree that if that case were ever to get to the Supreme Court, suddenly there would be a total separation of church and state? This ain't about religion. It's just this one version of Christianity. That guy, if he gets all the way to the Supreme Court, will lose. There's no firm, legal theory here. It's just we're Christian right people, and we want that to govern America.
As Gandalf might say, arguments are of no more use here. The Supreme Court does not care about its own hypocrisy because they have the votes and they have the will to power to do what they want to do. So, yes, I think that we should bring that lawsuit from those people. I think that we should pass congressional legislation codifying Roe v. Wade. But there's a line between hope and foolishness. And we have to be realistic about what this Supreme Court is willing to do. If you pass those laws, if you bring those cases, this Supreme Court will strike them down before breakfast. And so I say again, the only actual solution, it might sound hard, it might sound radical. The only actual solution is to expand the court with people who believe in secular government as opposed to religious
theocracy. And the only way to do that, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, you need 54 senators, y'all. You got at least like 8 good races. Focus on getting 54 senators. It's the only way you're going to ever expand the court. Elie Mystal, thank you very much. We'll be right back.